monetary policy objectives. They will also enrich our collective memory of Nigeria's heritage.
This policy will help to control inflation, as the exercise will bring the hoarded currency back into the banking system, help in increasing financial inclusion, moving towards a more cashless economy, and ensuring greater formalization of the Nigerian economy. The currency redesign would assist in the fight against corruption, as the exercise would rein in the higher denomination used for corruption, and the movement of such funds from the banking system could be tracked easily by the relevant security agencies.
And we remain with this sector, and we'll also bring you information that of the 2.7 trillion naira circulating outside the banking system, just about 165 billion naira is what has been collected so far by the Central Bank of Nigeria as at November 18, 2022. The Apex Bank also said it has removed all limits in terms of Know Your Customer KYC on deposits, and this was part of the post-MPC media session.
We also need to do what we need to do to sanitize the market so that government can also in the future have a domestic source where it can raise the funds. Because, like I said, so long as we have in a negative real interest rate margin, even domestic saving mobilization will thin out.
This exercise is not an exchange program. It's not that you bring 10 million naira, we give you 10 million naira. What we are saying is that put your money in your account. Use all the available channels we have, including the e-naira. 95% of what we have received out of 165 billion is only in two denominations, 1,000 and 500, because if you see 1,000 is like 86 billion.
Okay, the Federation Accounts Allocation Committee, FAAC, has shared 736.782 billion naira October 2022 Federation Accounts revenue to the federal government, states, and local government councils. This was contained in a communique issued at the end of the Federation Accounts meeting for November in Abuja. The amount comprised distributable statutory revenue of 417.724 billion naira, distributable value-added tax revenue of 213.238 billion naira, exchange gain revenue 5.775 billion naira, and 100 billion naira augmentation from non-oil revenue. The balance in the excess crude account now stands at $477,513.64. A statement by Henshaw Gubike, Director Information, Press and Public Relations, show that in the month of October 2022, value-added tax and companies' income tax increased significantly, while oil and gas royalties, petroleum profit tax, import duty recorded considerable decreases. However, excess duty increased marginally. Now, the federal government, through the Debt Management Office, DMO, has offered 100 billion naira Sukuk bonds under the Ministry of Works and Housing and the Federal Capital Territory. Speaking on the offering in Abuja, Patience Oniya, DG of the DMO, says the local borrowing will be used to finance roads and bridges as captured in government's infrastructure plan.
But the Sukuk has the added advantage that it is financing infrastructure. We're driving retail investors and then promoting financial inclusion, meaning those people who have investable funds but haven't had securities that are acceptable for them to invest in, find the Sukuk, that product where they can invest and earn some money. So overall, we're specifically borrowing to fund infrastructure, but we're also developing the market and giving people more investment opportunities.
Now, it is the Maiden Export Week put together by the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, NEPC. Earlier this week, we had the Executive Director of the NEPC, Ezra Yakusak, in the studio, and he told me something profound. Rice is still on Nigeria's export ban list. What does that mean? Let's take that discussion. COVID-19 till date, we've seen non-oil exports, the sector, of course, has recorded some appreciable growth, all right?
Yes.
What is the trigger?
Well, there are so many factors that trigger that growth. One of it, I must say, is in 2021, the federal government granted or issued a grant of about 50 billion naira to the NEPC. The grant was to cushion the effect of COVID-19 in the non-oil export sector. And so that grant was administered to exporters, and the effect of that grant, or the cumulative effect of that grant, is what we are seeing today. That's just part of it. And of course, you are aware that in February this year, we kick off the Export for Survival campaign and sensitizing Nigeria on the need to export or to go into non-oil export. And of course, we had several interventions programs. We had the seminars, workshops, and of course, a program called Go Global, Go Certification. That program essentially is to curb the incessant rejects of our products abroad. And what that means is that if you don't get the necessary certification, our product or your product may not be accepted internationally. So we took the initiative and identified key exporters that lacked those certifications, like HACCP, Hazard Analysis and Critical Control Point, and kosher, halal, and FDA if you want to export to the United States. So we brought up those exporters together and paid for their certification, and of course they went into export. I'm sure a cumulative effect of all those factors gave us what we have today. And 2.5 billion US dollars from January to June this year, the highest in 4 years. And I'm telling you now, from the pre-shipment inspection reports we are receiving right now, the figures are going higher on a daily basis. At the end of the year, we're also going to give submit a report of the non-oil performance for this year, and I'm sure Nigerians will be shocked at the figures we're going to get.
Okay, while we look at the figures, let me just jump the gun. A lot of people will say, well, till this point, we don't see income from non-oil exceeding the oil income despite the performance. How would you be reacting to that?
No, but you see, this is a gradual process. This is a gradual process. We are talking of non-oil export. There is need for Nigerians to imbibe the export culture, but this is a gradual process. You know, we've been depending on oil for a long time. Before now, oil was not the mainstay of our economy. It was non-oil export before now, until oil was discovered. You remember those times? I don't know. You remember those times where we had the Granite Pyramid in Kano, and of course the cocoa house, the biggest or largest skyscraper in Nigeria. It's a cocoa house, and it was built by the president of cocoa. And so that's the glory Nigeria had then, until we discovered oil. And oil now came as if it was a curse. What was a blessing was now a curse. And Nigerians, step back and now depended solely on oil. What we'll have done is to kind of manage our oil resources and use our oil resources to veer into non-oil export. We didn't do that. And so that is where we are today. But we're trying to change the trajectory. We're trying to change the narrative. We're trying to change the way we think and the way we do things. And that's why we've been talking on non-oil export as a means of economic survival of Nigeria.
Okay, what is the export culture for Nigeria like?
Now, I must confess that our export culture is not where it ought to be. What is an export culture? An export culture, like any other culture, is where a country or a people imbibe some kind of values on a particular thing, those values, the way they behave, the way they do. An export culture is where we reach a point where our non-oil export surpasses our oil export, where our foreign exchange generation is far higher than any other thing. That's an export culture, where almost everybody thinks of export. But right now, our export culture is very low. I'm saying that, and I'm comparing it with other countries. If you see smaller countries like Singapore, their volume of export is so high. And let me tell you this, the truth is that no country survives without export. Most countries, most of the developed countries, check them out, Google them. You realize that their mainstay, the main thing that is driving the economy, that is bringing in foreign exchange, is export. And we believe in this, and that's why we are embarking on this campaign.
Okay, so while we look at the campaign, we are having the private sector advocate that for Nigeria to properly take her position with the AFCFTA. It was implement a private sector bill or rights to enhance ease of doing a business. There's a whole lot of concentration on how we can export successfully without having most of the hitches people tend to experience. How realistic is that?
Well, I don't know how realistic is that, but what I do know is that ease of doing business is very key to any country or any society. If there's no ease of doing business, chances are there'll be a clock in the wheel of progress in terms of business. And once there's no business, people will not survive economically. And you can see the federal government already, I mean President Buhari, there's this executive order 01, and the executive order 01 was purely on ease of doing business, and a step was taken further by PEBEC, the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council. They took a step further and they initiated what we call the Omnibus Bill, and that's the Business Facilitation Bill. The essence of that bill is purely on ease of this business, and the main crux of that bill is they've identified about 23 various laws that are inhibiting ease of doing business, and that bill has been taken to the National Assembly. Those laws are going to be amended. One of those laws is the Export Prohibition Act. You won't believe it that that act prohibits the export of certain commodities or products. One of them is rice. And so, yes, one of them is rice, surprisingly, right? But one of them is rice. So, but you have to go back to the history to understand why that act was enacted. It was enacted, I think, around 1986, when we had shortages, when there was need for food security, and that was when that act was enacted.
If we are prohibiting the export of rice, then the revolution is for...
But that's exactly what it is, and that's why we need to amend some laws. There are some laws that are inhibiting non-oil export, and these are some of those laws. And so the ease of doing business, we've identified those laws in tandem with PEBEC, and the bill is before the National Assembly for amendment. And what that means is that once that law is amended, it will be, once it is amended, those issues will be completely eliminated.
Okay, so where will be the place of integration in trade and business facilitation? You're already speaking about some of those things, but if it's breaking news to people like me, then a whole lot of people out there need this information.
Yeah. Okay, in terms of integration, trade integration is basically economic integration, and economic integration has to do with where two states as in two countries, coming together and identifying some barriers to trade and eliminating them. That's basically what trade integration is all about. And so, well, as a country, there have been several efforts that have been done to ensure economic or trade integration. One of the key ones I need to mention is the African Continental Free Trade Area, which Nigeria is a signatory. And if that free trade is implemented, I am telling you, Nigerian goods are going to penetrate most of these African markets. And when we talk about exports, it doesn't matter whether the goods are going to Ghana or Niger, as long as we go to foreign exchange. People have this wrong impression that when they say export, it has to go to the European Union, it has to go to America or Asia. No. If you can export your goods to Benin, if you can export your goods to Ghana or Niger Republic, these are our neighbors, right? Or even Cameroon or anywhere, as long as we get the foreign exchange, that is what we want.
Okay, so what do you intend to achieve by the end of this week, and what is your target for the close of 2022?
Now, what we intend to achieve, by the way, the week started yesterday, the export week. This is a maiden week. This is a maiden edition of the export week we're having. We've never had it before, and so we have a lineup of activities. It started yesterday with the formal launch of the Export for Survival campaign. That launch was, performed by the Honorable Minister, His Excellency Otumba Ni Adebayo, the Foreign Honorable Minister. That was very key for us. It was very key because what it means is that the minister is the representative of the Mr. President. What that means to us is that Mr. President came in person and launched our Export for Survival campaign. That's the implication, because with the minister there, the sky is the limit. So we started with that launch yesterday, and of course tomorrow we're going to continue with other programs, essential program and seminars and workshops. But the key thing on Thursday is that we're inviting women and youths, because we're making massive recruitment into the export net. What we are telling Nigerians is that, see, there is money in export. There is good business in export. Come and export. So we're inviting, on Thursday, the women and the youths, we're having a program for them. But one key thing is that we are going to give certificates to about 101 various firms or SMEs that we have paid, we have sponsored and paid their various certification. And so what that means is that their products are now certified. They can export to anywhere in the world without the fear of their products being rejected. We are doing that on Thursday. And as we are giving those certificates, we are also giving letters of approval to about 150 other SMEs. We are also taking up the challenge, and we are going to also ensure that their various products are going to be certified by various certifying bodies. Now, on Saturday, that's the climax of the event, we are going to have, for the first time, a gala night and an export award night. We've identified various exporters that have done credibly well in the export space, and so we are going to award them, we are going to recognize them, and we are going to have a wonderful time with them. Why are we doing this? We are doing this to raise the consciousness, to imbibe and sustain an export culture. By the way, the theme of this week is imbibing a sustainable export culture in Nigeria. So this is the lineup of the programs for the week. Okay,
so before I let you go, something just came to my mind, that the bulk of our young persons actually who are doing export, they are exporting mainly arts, and of course in the tech industry. Do you have any program with them?
Yes, we have a program with them. We have a division called Export of Services. Export of Services, and that's where we take up those kind of young people that we're talking about. I mean, the creative industry, the music, Nollywood. As I'm talking to you, we are working very closely with some key Nollywood stars. We took them to Gambia, by the way. We took them to Gambia. We took a musician to Gambia. I mean, one of our key musicians to Gambia. Of course, we organized the first ever solo exhibition in Gambia. It was a collaboration between the Nigerian Export Promotion Council and SMEDAN, a sister agency. So, and we took our Nollywood stars there. We also took a key musician there, and they performed. And of course, Gambia stood still, because you look down on Nigeria, go out there to these African countries, and when you see Nigerians there, they see us as something else, because the streets of Gambia were literally closed up. But coming from that, there and then, we got contacts, we got orders were generated, but one of the Nollywood stars were also contacted to train the Gambians on acting. He's not going to train them for free.
Of course.
It's money. And for God's sake, the money. So we have an export division for export for services that is catering for the creative industry and the young ones, fintech and
Agriculture Industrial Zone in Abia State to boost jobs of Power China and Nigeria said the project will include products.
Found out that NNPC is no longer yielding money, so we need to find a new road to external money to come into Nigeria, and we are doing everything possible to assist the federal government. This is not federal government project, but I hope in future
Well, 2 years later, that will highly boost Nigeria's self-sufficiency in food security to its citizens, mainly for the local employees.
And from there, we move to surviving COVID-19.
Central Bank of Nigeria.
My name is Blessing Samson. I saw electrical parks, just as you can see. Just for a while now. During the COVID, but I think right now everything is fine. Thank God. Very, very well. Like everything has increased. Everything, including foodstuffs, everything has increased. For the business, I think I'm out to get something, but right now due to everything is cost, not everybody that is really buying it, but those who need it desperately, they still get it. Things are fine. Buy stuff. If I will even have the chance, I will even open another shop than this one, add to this one, and then I will employ some people just to be working for me.
Well, Nigerian stocks are on steroids, but let's take a trip to the global market scene.
Minutes from the November meeting signal that the central bank is seeing progress in its fight against high inflation and is looking to slow the pace of rate hikes. They set the pace for global markets for Thursday as European markets head for a mixed open on Thursday morning as investors access the latest meeting minutes from the US Federal Reserve. Markets in Asia Pacific traded higher. Nikkei gained 0.95%, Shanghai Composite 0.22%, while the Hang Index traded negative. US stocks closed higher Wednesday in a choppy session as meeting minutes from the Federal Reserve show that the central bank is looking to hand out smaller rate hikes in the coming months as inflation cools off. The Dow Jones Industrial Average opened with a 95.96 points rise this Thursday. S&P 500 gained 0.59% and the Nasdaq Composite increased 0.99% to 11,285.32. For African stocks, no figures as at the time of this report. Boss said the able Business Express.
That wraps this edition of Business Express. Remember to keep in touch with us. Do send in all your comments, questions, suggestions, and observations. Also be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube on the NTA's channel. Do join us again just tomorrow at 3 p.m. for another package. My name is Leah Katum Babatunde saying have a wonderful day and God bless Nigeria.
Although social media as a channel of communication is inherently harmless, it becomes harmful and damaging when used without discretion and thoughtfulness. Bad social media users spread rumors and fake news without verification. But good social media users stop, reflect, and verify information before sharing it. Be a good social media user. Stop the spread of fake news. Verify the authenticity of your source and use social media responsibly for a better Nigeria. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency.
Naysayers have recently ramped up their criticism of the Buhari administration for borrowing. These critics are very insincere. We do not borrow for recurrent expenditure, neither do we borrow to pay salaries. We are borrowing to build world-class infrastructure that will benefit generations of Nigerians. And we have a lot to show for the loans we have taken. Today, the standard gauge rail line between Lagos and Ibadan are running very well. Today, we have new airport terminals in Abuja, in Kano, in Lagos and Port Harcourt. Today, the Itakpe Warri rail line that was abandoned for decades is now running. Today, we have well over 13,000 kilometers of federal roads under repair, rehabilitation, and reconstruction. There's a road project in every state today. Today, we have started the countdown to when the second Niger Bridge, which successive administrations have built only on paper, will be completed. The list of projects we are handling with the loans we obtained is long.
We all have stories to tell.
The small boy kicked me to open fire on me, so I said, okay, you can cross the right hand. So that's what how my right hand was cut off.
He's working with closely with which here that it was a
It's a pleasure to have you join us on the news at 10 on NTA News 24. We are live in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. I am Lydia Odijochi. Now the headlines. Federal Executive Council approves National Anti-Corruption Strategy Document 2022 to 2026.
New Naira banknotes have been fortified with security features that make it difficult to counterfeit.
President Buhari unveils new Naira notes, says there is urgent need to control the nation's currency in circulation. Beware of deepening poverty in Africa. Vice President Osinbajo tells countries sponsoring defunding of gas projects on the continent. House of Representatives moves to tackle menace of out-of-school children in Nigeria. Now the details. The Federal Executive Council has approved the validation, adoption, and extension of the National Anti-Corruption Strategy Document 2022 to 2026. This is aimed at sustaining and enhancing the renewed onslaught against corruption and other acts of economic sabotage in the country. Attorney General and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami announced this while briefing journalists after the Council's meeting. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports on this and other resolutions adopted.
The approval of the extension of the National Anti-Corruption Strategy by the Hybrid Council meeting followed the expiration of the existing policy document covering the period 2017 to 2022. Before the action, however, the meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari critically analyzed the impact of the strategy on the fight against corruption in Nigeria. Members were unanimous in their submissions that major successes have been recorded in plugging the loopholes associated with corruption, thereby minimizing corrupt practices and dealing appropriately with those found to have abused public trust.
Today, we are recording successes in terms of convictions to the extent that a single agency of government, if you take, for example, the EFCC, within a year, I'm talking of 2022, we have recorded over 3,000 convictions from the point of 109 convictions in over 10 years by previous administration. And then if you are looking at it from other perspectives, for example, perspectives relating to the recovery of the looted assets, The government of President Muhammadu Buhari has succeeded in recovering around $1 billion from its inception to date.
The document, amongst others, is centered on the prevention of corruption, public enlightenment, campaign for ethical reorientation, enforcement and sanctions, as well as recovery and management of proceeds of crime.
The implication of which is that we now have in place a new anti-corruption strategy, policy document, which is a product of collaboration, consensus among the justice sector and law enforcement agencies.
Works and Housing Minister Babatunde Raji Fashola also secured the approval of 14.095 billion naira augmentation for the completion of the Kano Western Bypass to be executed under the Sukuk bond scheme.
Some of the items covered by the augmentation include the need to construct a flyover at Dawanu International Market Interchange, and also the need to construct more hydraulic facilities to help drain water, especially in the parts of the road that pass through the urban centers and towns. This would link the Kano-Maiduguri highway, which is also nearing completion, as some of you might know.
The Minister, Babatunde Fashola, also used the opportunity to reassure Nigerians that the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, Abuja-Kaduna-Kano Highway, and the second Niger Bridge projects will be fully completed and put to use under the present administration.
On Lagos-Ibadan, we have just 6 kilometers to complete between Shagamu and Lagos. On Abuja to Kano, from Kano to Zaria, by the 15th, that place should be free of any diversion. And between Zaria to Kaduna, there will be about just 2 diversions. And between Abuja to Kaduna, there will be only 4 diversions. So all the rest will be opened up to facilitate end-of-year movement. On the Niger Bridge, as I have reported, we finished the bridge. What is remaining now is the approach route from the Onitsha and the Asaba end.
Those legacy projects of the Buhari presidency, the minister emphasized, are assets and investments deliberately undertaken in aid of, amongst others, the expansion and development of Nigeria's economic capacity, creating wealth and replacing poverty with prosperity. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, new banknotes of the nation's currency, Naira, the Naira, have been unveiled. President Muhammadu Buhari performed the official launch of the redesigned 200, 500 and 1,000 Naira notes with immense pride and satisfaction. He said the need to take control of the nation's currency in circulation, as well as to address the hoarding of Naira notes outside the banking system, is urgent. State House correspondent again, Adamu Sambo, has the details.
Flanked by the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Minister of State for Budget and National Planning, Managing Director, Nigerian Security, Printing and Minting PLC, as well as the Chairman of the EFCC and ICPC, President Muhammadu Buhari formally presents to the public the new Naira banknotes. This is coming almost 20 years since the last major redesign of the nation's currency.
Thank you very much.
Apart from improving the security of banknotes, mitigating, counterfeiting, and preserving the collective national heritage, the action will also help in controlling the nation's currency in circulation.
The new Naira banknotes have been fortified with security features that make it difficult to counterfeit. These new banknotes will help the central bank design and implement better monetary policy objectives. They will also enrich our collective memory of Nigeria's heritage.
Printed locally with immense pride by the Nigerian Security Printing and Minting PLC, the redesigned currencies of 200, 500 and 1,000 Naira banknotes have features of enhanced security, greater durability, attractiveness, and the nation's rich heritage.
A majority of African countries print their currencies abroad and import them the way we import other goods. Let me thank the Governor of the Central Bank and his deputies for this initiative. I also thank the Managing Director, Executive Directors, and staff of the Nigerian Security Printing and Minting for working tirelessly with the Central Bank to make the currency redesign a reality and for printing the new Naira note within a comparatively short time.
The governor of the CBN, Gordon Emefiele, attributed the ability of the nation's apex bank to initiate sound policies that positively impact Nigerians and support economic growth, such as the redesign of the nation's currency, to the independence of the CBN.
The independence of the Central Bank of Nigeria, though codified in our law, would not have been possible without the full and total support of President Muhammadu Buhari, who has made this policy initiative possible and successful. Indeed, Mr. President, only, and I repeat, only a president of your esteemed and incorruptible stature could have done what we are witnessing today.
The currency management in Nigeria has over the years been facing several challenges with unintended consequences for the integrity of the country, amongst which is a significant hoarding of banknotes by members of the public, with statistics showing that 2 was outside the vaults of the banking system.
This policy will help to control inflation, as the exercise will bring the hoarded currency back into the banking system, help in increasing financial inclusion, moving towards a more cashless economy, and ensuring greater formalization of the Nigerian economy. The currency redesign would assist in the fight against corruption, as the exercise would rein in the higher denomination used for corruption, and the movement of such funds from the banking system could be tracked easily by the relevant security agencies.
The launch of the new banknotes, the governor said, will also help with better design and implementation of monetary policy, as the nation will have much more accurate data on money supply and monetary aggregates. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has again called on countries that are sponsoring the defunding of gas projects in Africa to abandon the idea, but rather support Africa in the quest to meet its energy needs for growth and development. Anything contrary to this, he observes, would further
innovations and can build local industries on fair terms. That the race to net zero must not leave Africa in the dark.
At every given opportunity, the Vice President, defunding of gas projects in Africa is implemented. Here at the Queen's University in Kingston Town, Canada, where he is a guest speaker, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says exploring the gas option and the actualization of the objectives on climate,
which is a critical energy transition pathway for Africa, violates the enshrined principles of equity and justice and poses dire challenges for African nations, while making an insignificant dent in global emissions.
Nigeria, as he says, is committed to the United Nations goal of ending pollution, regarded as the Queen's University and some non-governmental non-profit making organizations coming together to promote education of the people for a better society.
That if we're ever going to make any difference, we just have to work with other people. It's not a choice. It is something that we must do. Otherwise, we're not going to go anywhere.
The Vice President, on arrival at the Queen's University, was received by the university top-ranking officials and had discussions on how the institution can collaborate more with Nigeria in the education sector.
I think it's very successful. I think he had a chance to meet with government at the highest levels. He's had a chance to visit 2 universities where we're doing very serious work in a collaborative sense. He has a chance to promote the Nollywood culture that is doing so very well. So I think it's been very successful and very fruitful.
Without considering the position of others, when it seems the world is going nowhere with the fight against climate change. In Kingston, Canada, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has departed for Niamey, the Republic of Niger, to attend the African Union Summit on Industrialization and Economic Diversification, as well as the extraordinary session on African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. In a statement, his media aide, Garba Shehu, says the president will also attend the launching of French version of the book entitled Muhammadu Buhari, The Challenges of Leadership in Nigeria, as well as inaugurate the Muhammadu Buhari Boulevard, named after him by the government of the Republic of Niger. The naming of the boulevard and launch of the French version of the book, written by John Pardon, a professor of international studies at George Mason University, Northern Virginia, United States, on Thursday, precedes the AU Summit on Friday, November the 25th, 2022. President Buhari is expected to deliver his national statement at the African Union Summit on Industrialization and Economic Diversification, meeting under the theme Industrializing Africa, renewed commitment towards an inclusive and sustainable industrialization and economic diversification. President Buhari, who will be accompanied by senior government officials, is expected back in the country on Friday, November the 25th. To legislative matters now, Senate is in receipt of presidential correspondence seeking confirmation of 15 nominees as chairman and members of the Niger Delta Development Commission. The request has Loretta Onoche as chairman with 14 others as members. The president's letter also sought the consideration of the commission's 2021, 2022 and 2023 budgets.
Loretta Ifeanyi Onoche, Chairman, Delta State. Chief Dr. Samuel Ogbuku, Managing Director for a term of 2 years to complete the unexpired term of his predecessor in office. Bayelsa State, South.
Promissory note program and bond issuance are financial instruments that allow states that carry out federal government projects to be refunded. Yobe and Taraba states are the latest to get Senate's approval for such refunds for road projects done by the state governments. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Onkwo reports.
On the 21st of September 2022, Senate mandated its Committee on Local and Foreign Debts to scrutinize President Muhammadu Buhari's request for refunds to 3 states of Taraba, Yobe and Kebbi for federal roads executed by the state government. 2 months after, the committee has scrutinized the claims by the states and recommended that Senate approves refunds to Taraba and Yobe states to the tune of 21.134 billion naira, while it stepped down that of Kebbi State for failure of the state government to appear before it to defend its claim.
Visits were carried out by the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing on all the federal roads completed by the states and ascertained that the quality of work done met the required standards.
Kebbi State government partly need this money. This road is in a very deplorable condition.
That the Kebbi State government be invited to defend its claim before the committee as soon as possible.
So please write your letter today if you can, just to make sure they get it in time for them to prepare, because they need to prepare.
Senate received President Muhammadu Buhari's request for the confirmation of 15 nominees as chairman and members of the Niger Delta Development Commission, with Loretta Onoche as chairman and Samuel Ibokun as managing director. Senator Issa Jibrin, through a motion of urgent public importance, drew the attention of the Senate to the tanker accident in Olofu of local government area of Kogi State, where 30 persons and several vehicles were burnt.
Accordingly, the Senate resolves to urge the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to intervene in the plight of the victims of the petrol tanker explosion in Olofu of local government area of Kogi State through provision of palliatives to the victims.
Meanwhile, Senate has implored the federal government to promote robust reading culture in Nigeria through the development of modern classrooms and libraries. This followed a motion by Senator Frank Ibezim, while the motion by Senator Abdullahi Yahya calls for the suspension of the 700 megawatts Zungeru power plant.
I'm convinced that there is an urgent need for the Senate to act speedily
and call for collaboration between relevant stakeholders in Nigeria's education sector who can assist in making the issues of cultivating a reading culture a national issue.
Urge the National Council on Privatization and the Secretariat, the Bureau for Public Enterprises, and other MDAs concerned to suspend indefinitely the proposed concession of the 700 megawatts in Geru Hydroelectric Power Plant in Niger State, pending the conclusion of investigation by the Senate Committee on Power.
Similarly, the Senate Ad Hoc Committee investigating the disbursement of development funds to 36 states of the Federation, led by Senator Sani Musa, has invited the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, the Governor of Central Bank of Nigeria and other concerned agencies for clarifications. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
This is the news at 10 on NTA News 24, live from Abuja. More reports ahead, including correspondent investigates allegations of corruption in Nigeria's passport administration. Details when we come back. Thank you for staying. The House of Representatives has initiated a legislative intervention to address the issue of out-of-school children in Nigeria. A bill to that effect passed second reading during plenary Wednesday. Sponsored by Balarabe Kakale, the bill seeks the establishment of a national commission for Almajiri education and out-of-school children. It made provisions for a multimodal system of education to tackle the menace of illiteracy by developing acquisition of skills to prevent youth poverty, destitution, and delinquency in Nigeria. The Federation Account Allocation Committee, FAAC, has shared a total sum of 736.782 billion naira October 2022 Federation Account revenue to the federal government, states, and local government councils. Let's join Alika Opanachi-Arua for details.
This was contained in a communique issued at the end of the Federation Accounts Allocation Committee meeting for November 2022. The federal government received 293.955 billion naira. The state governments received 239.512 billion naira, and the local government councils received 177.086 billion naira. The total sum of 26.228 billion naira was shared to relevant states as 13% derivation revenue. The 736.782 billion naira total distributable revenue comprised distributable statutory revenue of 417.72 billion naira, distributable value-added tax revenue of 213.283 billion naira, exchange gain revenue of 5.775 billion naira, and 100 billion augmentation from non-oil revenue. In October 2022, the total deduction for cost of collection was 33.55 billion naira, and total deductions for transfers, savings, and refunds was 186.749 billion naira. The balance in the excess crude account was $472,513.64. Now let's take a look at Thursday tradings on the floor of the exchange. With business news, Alika Opanachi-Arua.
Public procurement experts are currently reviewing standard bidding documents in Abuja. Victor Azul reports that this is to ensure that government purchases government purchases reflect value for money while mitigating corruption in the process.
Government procurement is often thought to be inefficient, and over time, experts have identified loopholes in the standard bidding documents which aid corruption. These procurement officers from ministries, departments, and agencies of government are therefore locked in this workshop to develop new bidding documents, which the Director General, Bureau of Public Procurement, who is represented, says will clean up government business.
The development of new procurement documents and the revision of the existing documents is aimed at transparency, competition, cost effectiveness, and professionalism in the public sector procurement system.
Experts are therefore optimistic that the workshop will ultimately help block leakages in government financing while ensuring global best practices.
This particular document, if it is well reviewed, will ensure that government not only gets value for its money, but the procurement processes will save time, will save resources, will also reduce corruption.
The workshop ends on Friday. In Abuja, Victor Azu, NTA.
The next report is one that should interest international travelers as Nigerians continue to decry the difficulty associated with processing international passport applications. The situation appears to have paved the way for exploitation of applicants desperate to make international travels. Victor Azu again, who has been investigating this matter, now files this report.
The Nigerian passport, small but mighty. It's a prerequisite for anyone seeking legal entry into another country. Countries all over the world therefore try to make passport administration easy, seamless and quick.
And the use of those who want express passport processing.
To serve the interest of Nigerians who may need the passport urgently, on 30th March 2021, this Passport Express Center was inaugurated in Maitama, Abuja. The public-private partnership was intended to operate round the clock and produce passports swiftly, but for an extra fee.
The idea of establishing Passport Express Center was embraced by the service in response to a series of yearning by the general public for the service to come up with additional ways to enhance and ease the passport issuance process.
That center has since been shut. Our findings reveal that the facility was only operated for a few months. In April 2021, the Minister of Interior, Rauf Aregbesola, announced at a media briefing that immigration officials at the passport offices will wear body cameras. This idea was to check touting and sharp practices while improving customer service.
Very security operatives, seen and unseen, visible and invisible, in all our passport offices. They will wear body cameras.
That now seems like a long time ago, cumbersome and entangled in racketeering. Meet Titi, not her real name. The 56-year-old had her date of birth wrongly captured in her previous passport. She sought to correct it while renewing her passport in May 2021. She made contact with an immigration officer at the service headquarters in Abuja and was told to pay 250,000 naira. She then called another officer at the Ilorin passport office, and it turned out even worse.
Yeah, they said 250. Then I now call Ilorin, their branch in Ilorin. That person said it's going to cost me about 10,000.
Passport application seems to be for the highest bidders nowadays. She opted to apply online.
When I did the online, I took the paper to them. They said they cannot find it in their website. They did, though that one took me to this year.
She's not alone. Some other passport applicants have told me of how they were frustrated. Their offense for simply applying online.
Since there's no good result, let me call the person there, the person that gave me his number. So I call and say, Madam, if you want to do it now, we're going to do it for you for 120,000 naira.
That's at the headquarters.
Yes, at the yes, they are going to do it for 120 naira. I said, okay, no problem, because I need this thing. I just need it. He said, no problem. So I submitted all my documents to him. So after 3 days, he called me again that it's more than that too, that I need to pay extra 25,000. So everything is going to be 145,000, which I said, okay, since I've started this, I cannot go back. So which I paid.
Eventually, she paid more than 176,000 naira for official transactions that should have cost her a combined 55,000 naira. I needed to be convinced beyond reasonable doubts, so I collected the immigration officer's phone number from Titi and called. The officer tried not to blow his cover, but the quest for illicit money proved too much to resist.
Now I'm talking to you now, what if you capture now, without any arrangement for capturing, fast tracking, it can take 3 months, it can take forever. What I will do, the official price is 45. You fast track now, you might be.
Official price is 45?
Passport is 45, right?
Okay.
As of today now, they are collecting 2,000 extra to put it within 2 weeks of capturing.
2 weeks of capturing, okay.
Yeah. Now, if you are doing any change of your passport, if the money will be more than that, and the time you have to go to different countries after you capture.
Yes.
Different process before they can correct. That will take a little more time and it's much more expensive.
Officially, standard passport is 25,000 naira. Yet, this officer is one of the more conscionable ones. People now pay humongous amounts for the Nigerian passport. It's a booming business. Ezekiel is my colleague. Like Titi, he applied online for his international passport since June. But after waiting for more than 4 months and missing out on 2 official trips abroad, Ezekiel bowed to pressure from another immigration official and parted with extra 15,000.
Dario Media, in association with Cabal Entertainment, presents The Candidate, a presidential town hall meeting series where the presidential candidates of the 6 leading political parties tell us about their plans for the country. Join Kadaria Ahmed as she leads us into the world of these candidates from the 17th to the 23rd of November 2022. This very important program will be streamed on FRCN, Radio Now, DSTV, NTA, Facebook, YouTube, and more. This is a town hall meeting you shouldn't miss. Tune in. Let's hear from the candidates.
This is the moment we've been waiting. It's time to rise up, do it again. Africa, do your dance now. Go do your winning dance now. So we never lose it again. Come on, yeah. We can rise up, yes, we can rise up, and we can rise up. Yeah, and we can rise up, yes, we can rise up, and we can rise up.
As
part of Nigeria's commitment to an effective implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the Sustainable Development Goals, the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Sustainable Development Goals, or SUB-SDGs, has been partnering and supporting the sub-national government. Working with other stakeholders and partners, the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on SDGs carried out SDGs needs and costing exercise, data mapping, and determination of baseline SDGs indicators to benchmark progress through partnership with other stakeholders. The office also ensured the domestication of the Nigeria Integrated Sustainable Development Goals (ISDG) model, design of the Integrated National Financing Framework (INFF), and the development of a coherent 10-year SDGs implementation plan 2020 to 2030 to guide acceleration of sustainable development in the decade of action. The office took active steps to mainstream the 2030 agenda into national, sub-national, and sectoral policies, development plans, and budgets, as against embarking on standalone projects which lack sustainable characters.
The Nigeria SDG model, the report of which we will officially launch today, will serve as a framework for robust, fact-based policy analysis, planning and implementation at all levels of government. It is expected to be used as a planning tool to complement existing ones currently in use at the national, sectorial, and sub-national levels. Going forward, we expect policymakers and planners to judiciously utilize this model to guide our efforts toward the achievement of the SDGs and other internationally agreed development goals.
Aside supporting states to develop SDG-based development plans as part of Nigeria's mainstreaming, acceleration, and policy support maps for the 2030 agenda in conjunction with its partners, the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Sustainable Development Goals, or SUB-SDGs, has since 2016 embarked on direct interventions to drive the goals and targets of Sustainable Development Agenda in Nigeria. Under the dynamic leadership of Princess Adejoke Orilokpe Adefulire, or SUB-SDGs has in the past 6 years embarked on projects and initiatives aimed at accelerating Nigeria's race to the achievement of SDGs at the sub-national levels. Giving her scorecard recently at the Presidential Villa, Princess Orilokpe Adefulire said as part of the bid to galvanize achievement of Goal 4 of SDG on education, or SUB-SDGs, has in the past 6 years constructed over 8,008 classrooms and renovated another 305 with furnishing to strengthen basic education across the country. One of the schools that benefited from the intervention was Mustafa Model Primary School in Lamu, Sando area of Yola, Adamawa State. As was confirmed during a recent visit to Yola, SUB-SDGs interventions in the school involved the construction of 5 blocks of the 6 classes with a total of 30 brand new classes delivered. The 30 classes, which are now in use by the students, were tiled and fully furnished with ceiling fans and state-of-the-art facilities, which including whiteboards, furniture for pupils, tables and chairs for students. In addition, 24 water system toilets were also built for the convenience of the pupils. Mahmoud Lawal, who was headmaster of the school when the project was embarked upon and completed, took the journalists round the school. He explained that interventions by SUB-SDGs also involved the fencing and repair of the gate of the school.
From when I was there, when I started till when I left the school, there were about 5 blocks of 6 classes, L-shaped, meaning for each block we had 6 classes. So in all, there were 30 classes that were built in 5 blocks, fully furnished with ceiling fans and state-of-the-art facilities, which included tiling. In fact, there were even whiteboard that were put in, and so many, and there were toilets. Okay, there were also toilets, water system toilets. I think they were all in about 24 pieces of water system toilets.
Aside the brand new classrooms, OSAP SDGs also renovated and furnished 2 blocks of buildings housing 12 classrooms in the school. Just like for the new classrooms, the renovated ones were also well furnished.
Now, talking of renovation, even amongst what they did was, I had 2 blocks of upstairs that were renovated. As you can see, they were fully renovated, well furnished, and every other thing was done on them too. That is for renovation. But for building from scratch to finish, there were about 5 blocks of 6 classes. For each block, we had 6 classes. In total, 30 classes. And in each class, there are about 15 furniture for each of those 30 classes, including that of the teachers, the table and benches. So it started from scratch to finish. 30 classes of 5 blocks of 6 classes building. Renovation, 2 blocks of upstairs renovated. Each upstairs comprises of about 6 classes. So in all there too, they have 12 classes in 2 blocks of upstairs, fully renovated. The floor was redone, both the classes and the outside. Then it was landscaped because it was decking. So what they did, they electrified it. You understand? They took care of the windows, the doors, they painted, they electrified, and every other thing that it desired were done.
He added that apart from the aesthetics, the intervention of OSAP SDGs motivated pupils, their parents, and led to increase in enrollment in the school.
The contribution of these new structures cannot be quantified. One, we had a serene environment for teaching and learning. The teachers had all it takes to make them motivated to teach. The pupils were excited. They are in a new environment. Parents felt, yes, this is where to belong. The enrollment increased because of the environment and the motivation attached to the environment. The performance of the teachers were increased. The output from the pupils were also increased. The enrollment increased, and the school became the talk of not the town, the talk of the state. I can beat my chest to say that even a new school wouldn't have boasted of what I had within that period of time.
Also, the current headmaster of the school, Jibrila Abdurrahman, said the interventions by OSAP SDGs have helped the school very tremendously. According to him, the pupils now have adequate classes and furniture, while the teaching environment is more conducive. We appreciate the office of the SDGs, and we appreciate their efforts for making the school looking so beautiful to accommodate all our pupils. Our pupils appreciate the office of the SDGs. Even the community sends a high-powered delegation to come, he said. He added that the school has undergone a slight name change as a result of changes brought about in its status by the interventions of OSAP SDGs. In the original name of the school, there was no model. The model came in after the renovation and the building of the new classes because the school has a new look. That was how the model came in.
The model came in after the renovation and the building of the new classes and fencing of the school.
Then they do all for us, and we have toilet. The renovation has toilet too, and the new complex has toilet.
During her briefing at the presidential villa, Princess Orilokpe Adefulere also revealed that OSAP SDGs, as at the last count in 2021, has carried out a total of 195 interventions in the health sector across Nigeria. One of the interventions was at the Yola Specialist Hospital. The SDGs office rehabilitated the admin block, the accident and emergency ward, Ward 1, 2, 4, 5A, 5B of the hospital, in addition to the eye center and mortuary. Also included in the intervention was complete fencing, landscaping of the sprawling facility, the road network and provision of 700 solar lights, as well as the general OPD. While work is still in progress in some of the facilities, the intervention of OSAP SDGs has helped to make the hospital a leading healthcare facility in Adamawa State, more conducive for the teeming patients. Ahaz Yakubu, Director of Works, Yola Specialist Hospital, said the interventions by OSAP SDGs have impacted the hospital because it has changed the environment, making it conducive for the patients to be admitted.
The work that is going on has impacted many on the life of patients that are coming in here, because things that is beyond those that are in local governments can be brought or referred to this specialist hospital. And we really appreciate the work that is ongoing, because it has changed the environment. It has made a conducive place for the patient to be admitted. SDG has provided solar lights for us, of which it has bring impact on illumination of light inside the hospital during the night time. Without light, you can see that as if there is electricity. But if you can come and see, it is all the solar light that are functioning. All the hospital, you can see everywhere. Wherever you go, there is no problem of light. We really appreciate the effort of the SDG management, especially Princess Orolukwe Adukurele, for awarding this contract. And we really appreciate her effort for making it reality.
Another major health intervention in Adamawa State capital was the brand new Greater Yola Specialist Gire, still under construction. The health facility comprised a 40-bed primary healthcare center and a diagnostic center. It was also equipped with staff quarters, 3 generating sets, and over 250 solar lights. The representative of OSAP SDGs in Adamawa, Engineer Ibrahim Gaji, said the healthcare facility was sited at the community to bring top-scale healthcare to the people when completed.
The siting of the hospital is done by the community, by the state government and the community elders here. They sited this hospital here purposely because it's a tentative location to the communities that surround this place. Because from here, the proximity of a general hospital or a health facility that is to this standard is almost 100 kilometers, apart from the way inside the state headquarters. So it's strategic indeed that it will serve a lot of medical services to the community around, and it will ease their pains in transporting themselves to a very far place to get medical attention. So it's a welcome development to the area, and really the community always come here when they are doing the construction to give them support, moral support, and to show their appreciation to sustainable development goals in this aspect.
In the area of skill acquisition and empowerment, OSAP SDGs also has in Yola the Vocational Center at Makohi Road and the Multipurpose Complex in Yola Town. The Vocational Center comprises of the main building with 6 classrooms and equipment already supplied. The road leading to the facility has also been completed in addition to the solar lights. Therefore, the facility is ready for use. On the other hand, the Multipurpose Complex comprised of a multi-purpose center, skill acquisition center, football pitch, 7-a-side basketball field, and the lock-up shops. The shops, the skill acquisition center, and all the pitches are completed.
It was situated that for the community to at least benefit from entrepreneurship of their children. And you know, the proximity of that place and the one inside the town made by the state government is the distance is very far. So that one is really situated in a place where it is supposed to have such a facility. And I believe it will go a long way to reduce this suffering of movement of children or the students to look for that type of skill in that area. And the multipurpose, initially the area was a football pitch and it was a mini stadium. So citing the projects there means that it's just to uplift the place to a standard where the state government or even international football can be played there and other things. So it's not a small project that is cited by the SDG. And if completed, definitely the state will benefit from it.
Also in Yola are all-in-one solar street lights installed in 5 out of the 7 local government areas of Adamawa as a constituency project of Senator Aishatu Ahmed. Schools, police headquarters and other institutions are beneficiaries of the project, aside the ones installed across the streets, which illuminates various parts of Yola town at night.
The light is okay, it's a solar, and I think sometimes it depends on the sunlight, but once there is a good sunlight, the light used to be very bright. It has seriously helped my business because even if there is no NEPA light, once there's this solar, the place used to be bright and people used to patronize me.
He added that the solar lights have also helped to ensure security in the area. It helps because in the night, this place used to be bright, so people cannot just hide and do evils around. In a recent briefing at the Presidential Villa, the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Sustainable Development Goals, or SAP SDGs, Princess Adejoke Olukpe Adefolire, reeled out some of the key achievements of the office.
From 2016 to date, grants were targeted at education, health sector, water and sanitation, and aim at executing programs and projects in a consultative manner with the beneficiary. To date, state and federal and FCT have benefited the sum of 24,450,000,000 naira. And the projects executed were on 3 critical sectors: water and sanitation. 732 projects have been done, providing water, sanitation to communities, to schools, and through our partners in support with our sub-partner, the donor agencies. 494 primary healthcare centers are built and equipped in different states. 616 education facilities, notably schools, were built, equipped for young people for the basic education at the state levels. 1,150,000 women and men were empowered through vocation, and the training were offered and empowerment were given. Special intervention project across 6 geopolitical zones. This initiative is aimed at strategic investment to fast-track the achievement of SDG in Nigeria. Between 2016 and 2021, a record number of projects has been implemented aimed at providing essential services to accelerate the achievement of SDG by ensuring that no Nigeria is left behind. In the education sector, 8,008 classrooms were constructed and 305 were renovated with furnitures to strengthen the basic education across Nigeria as our model contributions. Total of 4,845 desktop computers were also supplied to schools across the country for information and communication technology training. In the health sector, 195 healthcare centers comprising of healthcare centers, mother and child centers were constructed and equipped to complement with 199 intensive care and rural ambulances, about 257 incubators, and 7,464 regular automated hospital beds were supplied to primary, secondary, and tertiary health institutions across the country. In other cost-cutting sectors, our office constructed 66 functional and skill acquisition centers, supplied also 1,204 transformers, also provided 19,266 solar power street lights, 300 housing units for the internally displaced person in Borno State, and 973 solar boreholes, in addition to several other interventions being carried out by our office. Our office is providing technical and financial support to states on the development of SDG-based medium and long-term plans. So far, 16 states are receiving technical and financial support on demand-driven basis. They include Akwa Ibom State, Bauchi, Gombe, Ekiti, Kaduna, Kwara, Ogi, Ondo, Lagos, Osun, Oyo, Plateau, Sokoto, Yobe, Niger, and Zamfara State. These states are at the various stages of the planning process. While Gombe and Kwara have successfully launched their 10-year SDG-based development plan early this year. By the end of this administration, we hope that more states will be engaged, and by 2030, we expect that we will have supported all the 36 states on SDG-based development plan. This will ensure state annual budgets are funded the implementation of the SDG at sub-national level, and that this will trickle down to the local government of the state. Monitoring and tracking system. Robust monitoring and tracking system have been designed using computer-based software, ProTrack, to track and monitor all SDG interventions and other intervention projects across the country. Global positioning system is the backbone of this tracking system, and we're able to track and identify projects by locations. Partnership. In partnership with the United Nations Children Fund, UNICEF, we commissioned an independent evaluation of 2 priority SDGs, SDG 3